Former White House Chief of Staff during the Trump administration and the author of the book, The Chief, and former member of Congress from North Carolina, Mark Meadows, joins me. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta. It's great to be with you, and thank you for that reminder. You know, this time, as you mentioned, this time tomorrow, the final sweep will have already been done. There'll actually be members of Congress lining up along that center aisle where they go, Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States. But really, this is all about what will be said and, more importantly, what will not be said in the State of the Union address.
All right. Well, in light of what you just said, oh, by the way, I always look for Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who's always there early on the aisle. That's who I always look for when I watch on TV. But turning to a more serious note is that we're going to, of course, we're going to do the full speech by the president, the full address. So all of America will be watching. We're going to do that, of course, here on Newsmax. But let me give you a chance to do the pre-buttal to the speech. What is it that you would say, or what would you be pointing out, or what are you looking for tomorrow night?
Well, really what you'll see from President Biden is you'll see a lot of concentration on what he's done in terms of legislation that they passed. I assume he'll pick up on the fact that unemployment numbers are way down. What he probably will avoid is inflation, the thing that is hitting every single American family. You don't have to go any further than the grocery store aisle to realize that it's not just the price of eggs and the price of milk, but it's the price of just about everything that's gone up. And so he'll start to focus on that. The other thing that I think that he'll do, Greta, is probably take a little bit more hawkish position on China, and in light of the balloon that just traversed across the United States. So I think you'll see a line or two in there about making sure that he holds China accountable, which will probably get bipartisan support. But largely, this is a setup. This is a foundation for his kickoff for re-election. And so he's going to be trying to put some distance between him and the Republicans in the House.
Well, I'd actually, he's not asking my advice, but I'd suggest he stay away from the inflation. He's been making comments lately about what inflation was when he took office, and it actually wasn't bad at all. And he's gotten a lot of criticism for getting that wrong, so I would avoid that. But what I understand he's going to try to do is try to develop some unity. I mean, it is the one night where everybody sort of gets together in the House chamber, and there's some clapping and some people are silent, but we have those moments of recognizing people with the First Lady. I mean, and we hear that he's going to talk a little bit about unity, and he's facing a very bruising battle over the debt ceiling coming up. So how does he develop a sense of unity and get people talking about this rather than battling?
Well, he needs to do something more than talk about it. Greta, you remind me of his inauguration speech, where if you listen to his inauguration speech, it was going to be kumbaya. We were all going to be together. And then immediately, within days, maybe even hours, it was more accusatory of those in the Republican Party. And so, yes, we do need to call for unity. It will be a bruising battle over the debt ceiling. But it's not just that. Sadly, he has talked about inflation, but really the pocketbooks that have expanded have been the pocketbooks of big government. The average American, they're feeling less in their pocketbooks. And so it's critically important that he hits on those areas, a strong border without amnesty, a strong military supporting our men and women in law enforcement. Whether he strikes that chord or not, it'll be hard. President Trump kind of set the example for a lot of people, a lot of presidents, in having so many guests up in that gallery that you were talking about earlier, that told the American story in such an eloquent way. We'll see if that happens tomorrow night.
Does he touch on Ukraine and the balloon?
Yeah, I think he touches on both of those. Certainly on Ukraine, he'll touch on Ukraine and hit that. That has been largely, with some major exceptions, but largely a unifying message that he can hit on. But both of Ukraine and the China spy balloon, are very dangerous areas for him to go. They're areas that are not his strength. although he likes to suggest that Ukraine and China are strong on his resume. But I think at the end of the day that if he mentions those two, they will be more passing glances than really focusing on those in a big way.
Well, it's going to be a big night tomorrow night. The president speaking to the House and the Senate, and then there will be a rebuttal by a new governor in Arkansas, Sarah Sanders, which will be interesting. She'll be talking. We all know her here in town as well. Mark Meadows, thank you very much.
Great to be with you, Greta. Take care. God bless.